By the summer of 1944, the Third Reich was battered but not broken. The Red Army was grinding forward in the east, but the Western Allies needed a foothold, a dagger aimed at the heart of Fortress Europe. This is the story of D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. A story of logistics, deception, and a 6-mile stretch of sand called Normandy. The Allies had a problem. The obvious invasion point was the Pas de Calais, the shortest crossing from England, with good beaches and direct overland routes into Germany. The Germans expected that. They placed their best Panzer divisions there, waiting, so the Allies chose Normandy instead. It was farther, riskier, and logistically harder, but it was not heavily defended. To ensure the Germans kept their eyes on Calais, the Allies launched Operation Fortitude, the greatest deception campaign in military history. They created a phantom army, fake tanks, fake barracks, fake radio traffic, and a commander, General Patton, stationed across from Calais. The Germans never moved their reserves east. Normandy fell on D-Day. The Phantom Army held Calais until July. By June 1944, the Allies had gathered over 2 million men and nearly 7,000 ships and landing craft in southern England. The Germans, meanwhile, had built the Atlantic Wall, thousands of bunkers, minefields, and underwater obstacles stretching from Norway to Spain. But the wall was thin at Normandy. The Germans had only 6 divisions there. The Allies would land 12. By June the 11th, the 5 beaches were connected. Over 300,000 troops, 50,000 vehicles, and 100,000 tons of supplies had been landed. The Atlantic Wall had been breached, but the breakout was not easy. The Germans fought for every hedgerow. It would take 2 more months to break out of Normandy. The war in Europe would last another 11 months. D-Day was not the end, but the beginning of the end. The invasion hit 5 beaches. To the west, Utah and Omaha, assigned to the Americans. To the east, Gold, Juneau, and Sword for the British and Canadians. Utah went well. A navigational error actually put the landing craft in a weaker spot. Omaha went wrong from the start. Strong currents scattered the boats. The bombing failed. German bunkers poured fire onto a narrow strip of sand. That is where the bloodiest fighting of D-Day took place. At Omaha, the first wave was pinned down. Men from the 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions huddled behind a low sill, unable to advance. Destroyers risked running aground to provide direct fire. Small groups of engineers blew gaps in the obstacles. Slowly, one squad at a time, the soldiers climbed the bluffs. By nightfall, the Americans had pushed 2 miles inland. The cost was over 2,000 men. By June the 11th, the 5 beaches were connected. Over 300,000 troops, 50,000 vehicles, and 100,000 tons of supplies had been landed. The Atlantic Wall had been breached, but the breakout was not easy. The Germans fought for every hedgerow. It would take 2 more months to break out of Normandy. The war in Europe would last another 11 months. D-Day was not the end, but the beginning of the end. The lesson of D-Day is simple. War is won before the first shot is fired. The choice of Normandy, the deception of Fortitude, the grinding persistence on Omaha, every part mattered. D-Day was not just a battle, it was a system, and that is why the Allies won. Just the grit and the grind of war.